So, firstly, do you mind just introducing yourself quickly, please?
Yeah, so my name is Liina, or as I go on the internet as a LNA, that's my music producer name, and my artist name is LNA because it's just easier than Liina Turtonen, which is my full name. Yeah, I'm a music producer, musician, and YouTuber and educator, and I have a work on many different projects, and main ones are my YouTube channel called LNA Does Audio Stuff, as well as my company, which I co-founded with Emily Johnson, which is called Equalized Music Production, where we educate more women and non-binary people into audio and music production. So those are kind of my main two things, and then of course my music and other stuff.
So, I understand obviously that you completed your master's at York.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit what your time there was like?
Oh my god, it was literally life changing. I'm not even like I feel quite emotional when I talk about York Uni, just because it was for me where everything kind of started properly. And like I did my undergrad up in Scotland, and I kind of found music production in there. When I got to York Uni, I was like, firstly, me being a woman was not excused. Like it was just like seen as a very norm, but same time very encouraging.
Mm.
It's like it's great that you're a woman, but you don't get any special treatment type of
Yeah,
thing. Which
yeah.
I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's exactly how it should be. And what was maybe the biggest thing that changed everything for me there was the fact that the course is not taught by how to use this program and how to do this or this in a very broad way. It was because Jess Wells is very technical minded and comes from mathematics and science. Everything was like, how does sound work? How does it actually, like, we were coding our first plugins in the first course. I learned so much about myself, but also about audio, and I feel like it literally gave me so much confidence to do what I do now, just because I know I have such a good now understanding of the basic stuff. If you understand the science, you will understand
Yeah,
all the thing on the top. And
yeah.
that's what they were teaching, and I think it's the best money I ever spent.
Yeah, so it sounds like your master's at York gave you a really nice foundation before you went into the industry and left. So what can you tell us a little bit about, like, just give us an overall outline of what your journey was like after finishing your studies?
Right, yeah. During the studies, I was working really hard that I am gonna work in the industry after this. That was my goal. So when I graduated, I was actually working in Ann Summers for a while, and you just do that kind of jobs first, and then I went to Gear for Music,
Okay.
working as a customer service
Yeah.
person. Because I'm Finnish, I was studying in English and in Finnish.
Mm.
Yeah, so during the time in Gear for Music, I kind of figured out, oh, what if I would start doing YouTube? In that time, I didn't know any women who would do very tech like
Yeah.
tutorials, like very tech heavy. I started it, so the graduation was in January, and I started the channel in February. The first year was literally just 1,000
Yeah.
subscribers. And the first year is so hard because you
I
just need
bet.
to
Yeah.
keep at it. It's so difficult. Then I applied to teach in Leeds College of music production. So I became a music production lecturer. So
Yeah.
I was there for a year as a music production lecturer for the first years. And then because the YouTube then in that point started to really kick off, and as well as my company, I left. And now I am, since last May, I've been full time self employed doing education, doing YouTube, doing my own music, doing
Yeah.
courses, doing speeches, doing all kind of things. I had like 2 months because it would be great to be an example in a university to for those women who are there, and to those boys as a lecturer, it would be great. But I realized that we're still in the point where I have more effect in this issue if I continue doing YouTube fully, if I continue doing my own business, because I can actually help a lot more people to get into the industry who can then become the lecturers. I felt like that was a necessary transition to be in, even though, you know, it was a hard decision, but I feel like I'm very like where I need to be right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's what you want in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously you touched on it, that all of your own music is essentially self-produced, but you've also worked on a lot of other projects. You work freelance now. Is there any like song or particular project that you're really proud of?
Oh yeah, yeah, plenty. I would say that recently there's been a couple of things. So a couple weeks ago, we published with Music Production for Women. We published a documentary. We were following a singer-songwriter and her journey into music production, and someone who's always been curious but never thought they could do it, or they never thought it could be possible for them even to self-produce or even learn the words, so learn the kind of basics to do a demo. Well, we've been identifying for a long time that this is the key issue of women getting into it, because they think it's about confidence, it's about not believing you could, it's not even a possibility. So we wanted to kind of just showcase that. So I'm very proud of that documentary, because it's zero budget. We got nice supporters. So we got Ableton supporting it, Abbey Road Studios, Abbey Road Institute, Innovation, and Focusrite. And it's just like something like that has not been done before. The fact that I can have that kind of platform on my YouTube channel to showcase that, I'm very proud of that I've kind of built that, and now I can, you know, do stuff like this. So hopefully it will kind of make, you know, the little switch on someone's brain thinking, oh, I could learn music production, like it's possibility for me. As much as I do tutorials and kind of show example on that, I still want to also just really do more active and show visibility, and show, like, not just wonder where we are, but show that we are here.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
yeah, I totally get that. And I think, you know, you've achieved like so much already, and people always ask how you like make it in the music industry. Do you feel that that's something that you've done, or do you think that that's sort of like an outdated notion now?
No, I think, yeah, it's inundated in a way that I feel like a lot of people, when you are in uni, you kind of expect that you are waiting for opportunity. You're secretly always thinking that I'll be the person who will somehow miraculously sit by next to a person who happens to be the biggest person in the world. And that happens only to 0.0001% of people. And what I kind of realized in these last 2 years that I've got into the industry and I do this as a full-time job is the fact that you are the one who makes it happen. Unfortunately, you need to do the work. When people ask me how I made it to this stage, I just need to say that, well, I work so much and I made it happen. And I still feel I'm in the beginning, complete beginning. Like I'm still such a small, you know, name in this, like at all. And I feel like I'm constantly developing and all that. But only thing I can say is that nowadays it just means that you just need to content. I've been posting once a week for 2 years. Once a week. And if I haven't missed a weekend, you know, I said I'm gonna do it. And and that's what I've been keeping. So one thing that I would just say is that it's up to you. Like if you want to do this as a job, it's up to you. Like just do it.
It is now about sort of creating your own opportunities to try and make it in whatever sense that you want to, I think.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's totally up to you. I can just say that I get so many emails nowadays of just people emailing and wanting to collaborate with me or want to be on my YouTube videos. And then when I go to their profiles, they have nothing to show.
Mm.
So unfortunately, it is just the fact that you need to have something to show, whatever it is. As I said, it doesn't need to be social media. It will go somewhere.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, like, you've achieved all of this with your own music, but then on top of that, you touched on earlier that you co-founded Equalized Music Production, which delivers courses to people regardless of gender, race, age, ability, and so on. And it's a really, really fantastic program. So I was just hoping you could tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so Equalized Music Production started about 1.5 years ago, I think. And we started it because we recognized that there is not that many spaces that are super safe, super approachable to people who are not cis white male in audio.
Yeah.
And approachable, what I mean, safe to be, so safe to approach, safe to feel comfortable, safe to ask stupid questions, safe to, it's not so much the presence of men, it's the more the idea of what these spaces that are full of men represent.
Yeah.
What and why they are so hard to approach as a non-cis white male. I feel like we wanted to create those spaces, and what we realized is, as soon as we started doing it, is that people are saying, you hear that a lot, oh, women are just not interested. They are very interested, but it's the fact that you need to go into the space guarded. You need to feel like you need to prove yourself more, that you feel like you need to constantly like be on your toes and see what the situation, because you feel so uncomfortable, because you can't relate to anyone in the space, because you feel like everybody else knows better than you. And you think that they are, because the whole world is told you all your life that these people know better than you. So how you're gonna be feeling comfortable, ready to learn in that space if you feel that way? So we recognize that, and that's why we started these courses. And since then, we've gone like almost full every time. So the courses are for women and non-binary people, as well as trans people. And what we notice that the courses always start by people like, oh, yeah, I don't have a techie brain. So sorry. I'm so bad. It starts with these apologies and excuses and all this. And in the end of the course, they realize, oh, what's happening next? Okay, is this ended already? Oh, I can use this now. And they don't even realize that how big of a shift they've gone through, like just doing their 4 weeks course. We're also expanding to all marginalized groups, hopefully in the future. So we're not only for women and non-binary people, but we are also hopefully for different marginalized groups that might have obstacles of getting into this. And our tagline is not only music production courses, but it also is creative confidence. So part of our courses is learning confidence creatively. Hopefully through our courses and what we do, we hope that we can see an increase in people applying to get into these music production and tech courses. And we are also hopefully starting to do courses for the universities, where we go and help them with information on how they could get more women and non-binary people into their courses, and what kind of language they can use, so that the men in these departments know what to do to make it better for everybody. So that's something that we are also looking into doing in the near future.
Well, I mean, it's really cool, and obviously as a female in the music industry myself, to see that work towards equality and a better balance in the music industry is really like quite inspiring and also reassuring in a way. Obviously, to touch on that as well is the In Control documentary that you did, that you talked about earlier. Do you want to just tell us a little bit more about that and the journey that you guys went through?
Yeah, so In Control was, as I mentioned, it is a story about a singer-songwriter who gets into music production. I think it was a journey for all of us to kind of figure out what we think about the whole topic, and it just kind of showed again that we all have insecurities and we all feel this, and kind of just share it that we all feel it. We're all insecure and we all go through the same journey, and if we can just show that, maybe it normalizes it. We are thinking that it's our fault, that it's the fault is in us, that we're just not techie people, we don't have a techie brain. Computers, I am the only one who don't understand this. But if we normalize that everybody feels the same, then hopefully the step into learning these things is smaller. If you watch the documentary, that's we're following a singer-songwriter called Hannah Combs, and Hannah kind of articulates this really well, I think, in it, showing, like, saying that, you know, there's nothing in production that, you know, it's not for you. It's like there's nothing about it that it's not for you. It's everything about it is for you. What we are trying to do is just take away the wall, and that there's no wall.
Every girl that, you know, works in music or music production sort of has their own story in that sense. I did music technology A level, and I had a class of 12 people, and I was the only girl, you know, and automatically, you know, I am the only female in the class. Both of my teachers were male. Like, I didn't feel like I had anyone that I could go to and be like, you know, I feel really isolated in this environment. I don't feel I have anyone to talk to or ask for help, which is why, you know, the work that you're doing really, like, resonates with me, because it's something that I wish I had available to me earlier on.
Exactly that. And that's what we just seen, is that it has a massive impact, how people approach their music and their careers, even as an option. I never thought this is option for me as a career, but oops, here we are.
Yeah, I went from thinking about being a lawyer to going, oh, music production is actually what I want to do, which is a complete 180. But was the right call, I think.
So, example, as you were saying that in your A levels you were doing music tech, but it's taken a lot of courage and self confidence for you to go forward with it. Because as it took for me, because it's not easy decision to go into these environments, is it? In the end, it shouldn't matter the gender. It shouldn't, but in our world it still does. And that's why Equalized, where we wanted to create that space, because you don't need to, it's not exhausting, because it's just encouraging. It doesn't take away, it just gives. And that's why you or me, who's needed to go through this our own, it takes a lot of courage.
But yeah, I think, you know, if anyone takes anything away from this interview, I think that is one of the most important things, that particularly in the music industry, you shouldn't be judged on your gender, your age, your ethnicity. That should play no factor in it. It should be your work, your talent, your abilities, and that's how you should measure a person.
Absolutely, but we are still far away from that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as much as I would love that to be the truth, but even now as a professional in this industry, that's not the case yet. So that's why we need to work towards it. What we need to do is give women and non-binary people, gender minorities especially, the confidence. And what we need to do is everybody else needs to be educated on the situation, so they are aware, they know the language to use, they know how to be around, how to make these spaces nice and approachable for everybody.
And I think it's so amazing that, you know, you've worked so hard to create a platform for yourself where you can spread this message, and it is really, really admirable to see. I think it's really important.
Thank you. Well, it's the magic of YouTube.
Yeah. Oh,
But thank you so much.
that's all
But
right.
I really appreciate it, because that kind of comments and that helps me to continue what I do,
Okay.
and that's the reason I continue it.
Well,
Once a week.
yes. I mean, honestly, just thank you so much for sparing some time in your, I assume, very busy schedule to
That's
talk
fine.
to me. It is massively appreciated, and everyone's really looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Well, thank you so much for the interview. It's been very lovely to talk to you.